You're born in Yorkshire, 1842, under a sky that never remembers the color blue. The air tastes of iron and soot before you even take your first breath. Your mother coughs through labor. Your father isn't there. He's underground 2 miles east in a shaft that smells like damp stone and old sweat. The midwife says you came out small but loud. The neighbors say you'll need that voice to scream through the dust one day. Your cradle is a coal box lined with rags. The floor trembles when the carts roll past outside. Above your head, the ceiling sweats black from years of smoke. By the time you're 3, your toys are lumps of slag. By the time you're 5, your hands are black, even after washing. The church says hard work builds character. The company says it builds profit. And your family says nothing because speaking doesn't feed anyone. At 7, you follow your father to the pit mouth. You think it's an adventure rope slams the rumble of wagons like thunder underground. The overseer calls you lad. Your father calls you brave. Then the gate shuts and the sun disappears. You spend your first day in darkness, crouched in a tunnel barely tall enough for breath, pulling a door open every time you hear the coal cart coming. You hold the handle tight because if you don't, the air turns bad and men suffocate. You can't see them, only hear the chains and the horses and the breathing. You learn to listen for danger. You learn to count minutes by pain. You learn that daylight is a luxury you'll forget how to want. By Sunday, your knees are raw, your eyes sting, and your lungs whistle like a kettle. The men call you Trapper Boy. You call it what it is the start of forever. You never get to choose what you'll be. You grow into the dark the way other children grow into daylight. At 8, you already know the rhythm of the mine, the creak of timbers, the hiss of air through cracks, the way dust dances in lamplight like a warning. You stop flinching at rats. You stop noticing the smell of rot. You even stop crying when the gas lamps flicker out because no one hears you down here anyway. They say you're lucky. Some boys lose fingers to the cart chains before their voices even change. Others never come home from a cave-in. You learn early that luck is just survival measured in hours. When you're 10, you're promoted. Not because you're ready, but because someone else isn't breathing anymore. Now, you push carts. Your shoulders rub raw against stone. Your back bends like a question mark and the air feels thicker every day. You work 12 hours a shift. The bell rings before dawn, and by the time you surface again, it's night. You start to believe the sun's a rumor. Your father's lungs already sound like gravel in a tin cup. The doctor calls it black lung. He says it's not contagious. He's wrong. You'll inherit it the way other boys inherit farms or family names. Every breath burns. Every meal tastes like ash. You eat with hands that can't get clean sleep in clothes that never dry wake to the same whistle that feels more like a sentence than a start. By 13, your arms are corded with muscle, your spine shaped by the tunnels that raised you. You're proud of it for a while. The overseer slaps your back and calls you a proper lad. You grin through cracked lips because pride is cheaper than bread. You stop thinking about the world above, about schools, about streets, about sky. The mine becomes your clock, your church, your country. It teaches you obedience, endurance, and silence. And when a new boy arrives, shaking eyes wide at the dark, you find yourself saying the same words your father once said to you. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. The lie sounds easier each time. You're 20 now, or something close. The years blur underground. Your body's a machine, scarred, loud, reliable. Your arms can lift what 3 men can't. Your back hums with pain, but it still bends when the overseer shouts. They call you a hewer, now a proper miner. The title sounds grander than it feels. The work has rhythm, pick, swing, cough, repeat. The coal dust coats your tongue so thick you can taste metal even in your sleep. You chew bread that crunches from grit, drink water black as ink, and laugh when the lads joke that you'll never need to shave the soot takes care of that. Up above, Queen Victoria's empire shines steam trains, crystal palaces, rich men in top hats writing speeches about progress. Down here, progress means your lamp doesn't explode this week. You start to earn decent wages enough to rent a better shack, maybe buy meat once a month. But the price is written on your lungs. You wake each morning with a cough that rattles your ribs like dice. The doctor calls it miner's asthma. You call it the sound of loyalty. On good days, you can fill your cart quota before the noon whistle. On bad days, you cough blood into the dust and keep swinging anyway. There are no sick days underground. If you stop, the tunnel stops. If the tunnel stops, the village starves. Some nights when the lamps go out and the dark feels thicker than thought you think about sunlight. You imagine what your face might look like clean. Then the foreman yells and the thought fades back into the black. You know every sound by heart, the drip of water, the sigh of timber, the crack. That means someone's about to die. You've dug enough graves to know the earth doesn't care who you are. Still, there's a strange pride in it. You're part of something enormous, the beating lung of Britain. Every ship that sails, every furnace that burns owes something to your hands. But nobody knows your name. You're not a man, you're a function and interchangeable heartbeat in the Empire's chest. You dream sometimes of leaving of green hills and clean air, but dreams cost time, and time costs wages. So you keep digging. You always dig. The years roll over you like carts on rails. You're 35 now, though no one would guess it. Your hair's gone gray at the edges, your teeth loose from the dust, your chest a furnace that won't draw air. Every breath feels like pulling smoke through a straw. Machines arrive before you're ready. Steam drills, conveyor belts, new engines that bite faster and deeper than men ever could. The company men call it innovation. You call it unemployment waiting to happen. At first, they say the machines will lighten your load. Then they say half the crew's no longer needed. You work harder, longer, for less. The pit runs day and night now. Profit never sleeps even if you do. Your father's gone buried under slate when the ceiling gave way. The newspaper called it a tragic incident. You called it Tuesday. Your mother followed months later, coughing herself into silence. You didn't have the money for a stone, so you carved her name into a lump of coal and left it by the church fence. It felt right. Your hands tremble now when you try to hold a cup. Your lungs whistle when you lie down. The doctor says you should rest. The rent collector says otherwise. You try factory work, too slow for the machines. You try hauling on the docks, too weak for the crates. Every door you knock on closes when they hear the cough. The same one echoing through every mining town from Wales to Scotland. A chorus of dying men feeding the same empire they built. Your oldest boy just turned 7. You swore he'd never go underground. But the school fees are gone, the bread's gone, and the landlord doesn't take promises. So one morning, you walk him to the pit mouth of the same road your father took you down. He grips your hand, eyes wide, voice trembling. Is it dark down there, Day? You want to lie. You want to tell him the dark gets easier, but you can't. You just say, hold the lamp high and don't breathe too deep. The cage drops, the ropes creak, and with it the last piece of hope you ever had. The cough becomes your alarm clock. Each dawn it shakes you awake long before the whistle. The room smells of damp wool and cheap gin. You try to stand, but your legs don't quite obey anymore. The doctor calls it wasting. You call it the bill coming due. Your boy's 14, now built like you were all muscle, no breath. His face is already hollowed by soot. He tells you not to worry that the new pit foreman says he's quick with a pick. You smile because that's what fathers do, even when the pride tastes like ash. You haven't been down the shaft in years. The black lung saw to that. But you still hear it, the echo of picks, the rattle of carts, the low hum of men doing what men have always done, feed the fire that kills them. One night, the coughing doesn't stop. You clutch the blanket eyes, watering chest, burning like the forge above. Your wife sits beside you, wiping the sweat from your face. You see the fear in her eyes, not of death, but of the debt collectors who'll follow it. You want to say something wise, something lasting. But all that comes out as dust. You die before sunrise. Not underground, not in glory, just in your bed lungs full of the same coal that built an empire. They bury you behind the chapel in soil dark enough to look familiar. Your son skips work for an hour to be there. Then he goes back to the mine. The whistle doesn't wait for grief. Years pass. The mine grows deeper, the machines louder. One day, an engineer from London visits boasting of progress. He gestures at the new steam drills, the improved ventilation, the profits soaring like smoke. He doesn't notice the tiny gravestones lining the hill, blackened, unmarked, almost beautiful in their sameness. Generations later, the mine closes. The town fades. Archaeologists will dig here someday, brush away the dust, and find bones stained black. They'll study the lungs, the tools, the teeth worn down to powder, and they'll call it industrial heritage. You were born into soot, lived for the empire's hunger, and died as its fuel. Your name won't survive, but your breath did, trapped forever in the coal that kept Britain's heart beating. You were born, property lived, function, and died forgotten but not meaningless.